This assignment is letters across the Salish Sea, and the intention here is that you've learned a bit, hopefully, about the Salish Sea through this course, and we're going to communicate to a decision maker using a fact-based statement. Now, these letters to a decision maker are intended to be short, direct, and convey fact-based information. So each letter should be about a page. And within that page, I would really suggest use of bold, use of underlining, use of bullet points to easily and quickly convey your concern and your facts. That decision makers are not going to read a 20-page paper. They're not going to read a giant manuscript. What they want is who you are, what you're writing about, and the facts you're using to support your argument. I will not be evaluating what you're writing about, like whether I agree with it or not. That's not the point. The point is that you have a opinion based in fact, and you're reasoning that opinion to a decision maker and asking for direct action. Decision makers can be defined as any elected official or appointed official, head of Washington State Department of Natural Resources, local mayor, governor, U.S. representative, state representative, whatever it might be that's relevant to that issue. Where I often see a struggle is somebody writing about a national bill to a local representative. You have to make sure that it's something that they have power over. Additionally, you have to make sure it is a timely topic. So telling them you need to make an action against climate change, period, isn't very useful. If there's something they've done that you support, then you can support continuing expanding that program. If they've done something you disagree with, you can communicate that as well. The best way to communicate about something that's timely is to communicate about a current bill that's moving its way through the process, a current decision, a current permit, something like that. There's a fair amount of good resources already provided in the Canvas assignment, including some ideas on how to write effective letters. Go away, pop up. This is cut off a little bit here. So it's worth following these tips, as well as the Union of Concerned Scientists. And I really do like this idea of focusing on local representatives. They're often the ones that are doing more action on the ground, keeping the letter simple. I like this idea of say why you're writing, who you are, list your credentials, state that you're a constituent. Now, if you're not a constituent, like let's say you're not a voting member of in Bellingham, but you live in Bellingham, you can say you're still their constituent, right? You don't have to be a voting member to be a constituent. If you live in an area that they're representing, that area, you are one of their constituents. So you can write to either the representative for wherever you're currently residing, or you can write to the representative for your home area. If that's outside of the Salish Sea, then you can still write to maybe your national representative to support a current bill, or you could write to a representative for the Bellingham area as their constituent when you're in school. Be factual, not emotional. Calling them bad names or making like outlandish statements is not going to get you anywhere. Provide a fact-based argument. Then be clear about what you're asking them to do. Vote, policy change, something specific. I'm really looking for specific things. Here's some ideas on how to address it. The Honorable so-and-so. So this is a good, really good source here, as is these examples. So these are a little more geoscience based, but nonetheless they are good examples. So this one's, sorry if I'm a student in the geology department at WWU, focus on blah, blah, blah. I'm writing a request that you fight against proposed budget cuts for the USGS in 2018. So there's a proposal to cut this funding. They are writing specifically about that. It's in bold, so I know that by just glancing at the letter. And then here's why. Here's 4 bullet points that each have a fact associated with them about why the USGS needs funding, that we have a huge coastline, that we have these volcanoes that are important, we have glaciers and snowpack that need to be understood, and we have rivers that are vital to the agriculture and require understanding. So in here, I'm really pro also trying to add in the economic input, because there's often ecological reasoning and economic reasonings get pitted against one another, which I don't think is necessarily needs to be that way. So if you're writing about a bill to protect orca whales, you should look up the economic value of whale watching, which is quite high, and being able to provide information associated with that. If you're writing about salmon, the same sort of idea. How much revenues generated through commercial salmon fishing, through recreational salmon fishing? How is it vital to indigenous groups to be able to fish salmon? Something like that. So some concrete economic data is really huge. Kind of a closing statements here about why the USGS is important. The ask again, and this is huge. I would really like to hear from you. Sincerely, name and address. Okay, so you want to say, I care about this issue, please communicate with me. Now these will not be submitted. I will not submit them on your behalf. You are welcome to submit them on your own. You're encouraged to do so. You're encouraged to use your voice to effectively communicate with decision makers, but I do want you to address this as if you are sending a letter. If you don't want to give your home address, put down the school's address. Doesn't bother me, but you do have to have an address here. Here's another example as well of a letter. So there's good examples here. The point system should be pretty straightforward. 5 points if it's addressed correctly. I have seen them addressed incorrectly. 10 points for a single topic related to the Salish Sea. First paragraph describes who you are, including your credentials, relevant experience, if you're a voting constituent or a constituent from that area. Second paragraph gives the facts about the issue that are important. Closing paragraph, what action you want them to take. 5 points for good grammar, 5 points for including a response, and 5 points for good formatting. So the question then becomes, how do we, 4 concrete facts. There, I was looking for that. I'll go back in and bold this, but you should have 4 concrete facts with citations. The citations in this case, footnotes are a good way to go, but you should know where those 4 concrete facts come from. So I'm looking for solid numbers here. Now you're going to write 1 letter to somebody in Washington and 1 letter to somebody in British Columbia. Let me correct that. You're going to write 1 issue about a Washington State issue and 1 issue about a British Columbia issue. You can write a federal representative or a federal representative for BC. They do not need to reside in Washington or BC, but they need to have decision-making power over Washington or BC. You can find your representative here. It's pretty cool. You can find your district. To find a bill, this website's pretty good. Let me shrink this down a little bit here. So you can do bills by topic. let's say we care about orca whales. They give us anything in there? Could be under wildlife. Let's see, wildlife. Continue. Let's see, what do we see? Orcas. Southern Resident Killer Whale Task Force recommends House. There's a House bill and a Senate bill. These are the past bills, so we'll click on this and then jump to one that's currently in the process. So this is showing it's been introduced, it's in committee, it's on the floor, and it's been passed. So this is a bill that's already passed. After passage, it was on the governor's desk, governor act, and now it's been passed into law. So this is perhaps not one we want to write about because it's already gone through the process. But we could look at sea lions managing through hunting or bounty programs. Okay, that sounds non-controversial. The two sponsors for this bill, it's been introduced and it's in committee. What is this bill about? Let's see, sea lion predation. So this is about, we have too many sea lions, and there's been an estimate that we have too many. Washington lacks the tools to manage them. There's too many sea lions. And they want to pass this letter on to Trump and NOAA to implement changes, is what this is for. There's a bill digest here. Request Congress to further amend the Marine Mammal Protection Act to allow the use of hunting and bounty programs as tools to effectively manage populations of predatory sea lions. So this is different than like a bill that the Washington state's going to pass, because this is about a federal law that the Washington state cannot violate. So they're asking for support to send a letter to the federal government, to the president, and to NOAA to open up additional forms of managing sea lions. I'm sure there's no controversy associated with that one. Here's another one that's similar in title. Let's see if it's similar in substitute House bill. Okay, so now we're on the substitute bill. So provides the legislation intent to preserve and protect both orcas and salmon in the Pacific Northwest by encouraging cooperation with Indian tribes, the scientific communities, and other entities to address the threat of pinnipeds to salmon. Requires the Department of Fish and Wildlife to file for a permit under the Federal Marine Mammal Protection Act for a maximum lethal take of sea lions to enhance salmon recovery. So what this is saying is they're trying to pass a bill to require the Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife to file for a permit under the Marine Mammal Protection Act to figure out how many sea lions can they kill and to kill that many sea lions. So under the existing rules, they want Department of Fish and Game to follow up on those rules to the maximum extent and to lethally take as many sea lions as possible. So this is a good bill you could write about because it's going through the process. It's been introduced. It's in committee. It's in the Energy and Environment Energy Committee. There's been some hearings about it. You can actually watch the videos here. You can often watch the videos. You might have to fast forward around to get to the bill, but it'd be kind of interesting. So that's a little different than the other one, which is a letter, which is this one here, HJM 4001, which is to write a letter to the federal government saying, let us kill more sea lions. This is using the maximum legal take. Okay, here's one on whales, orcas, and unmanned aerial systems. Concerning the use of unmanned aerial systems near certain protected marine species. Bill digest is often a good way to go. Prohibits unmanned aerial systems from approaching in any matter within 200 yards as measured in a direction, including vertically, of southern resident whales. There have been, and they've actually made some recent press about this. There have been some good uses of UAVs around orcas. In particular, there's a system that NOAA developed where they can fly over the whale, and when it exhales, they can capture the orca whale's breath and come in, bring that back and do genetic analysis. And that's one way they figured out what sort of diseases or ailments orca whales have. That's kind of one of the only ways of doing it. So there's some good scientific reasons for flying above orca whales. So that might be worth investigating for this one. You can read the original bill. These are often hard to read. This one doesn't look too long. But you want to see if there's provisions for vessels not include inner tubes or air mattresses. If there's exemptions or a way to if there's any way to get an exemption. So that's some good information for Washington State. It's kind of fun to dig around and search for different things and see what's going on. Things are under different topics, and so let's see also hunting, zoos, and aquariums. We can do bills by topic. We can look at any, I don't know, fish. Fish is probably under wildlife as well. Let's go back to Canada. For BC, to find representative at all levels, you'll need to have a postal code or address. You can just look one up for, anywhere in the Salish Sea. For the MLA, you can sort by area, committee membership, and then current bills. And this will take you to the current bills in progress. You might not find a whole lot that are really relevant. You can look at the federal level as well. This is the Legislative Assembly for British Columbia. Or perhaps take a look at see what DFO is currently working on. One of the ways to make this a bit easier is you can write about the same issue or a similar issue between Washington and BC. I would expect some of that letter to be the same, and I would expect some of it to be different. I would looking for, if you're writing to somebody about a BC issue, facts and figures that are important in British Columbia that might be different than what's important in Washington, meaning economic values, etc. Think about a concise, one-page, bullet point, underlined, well-formatted letter, clear, 4 facts, and some footnotes for those citations will be really important. If any questions, send me a note, and hope you find this one informative.